Point Horror Book Clubbers. It's the yearbook time. Just wait for people to join. This one was one crazy ride. Hiya! Oh, hi Dustin. Hi Dawn. I just had you in. So I'm going to bring our guest on, which is the brilliant Dawn Kurtagich. Okay, Dawn should be joining us soon. Hi everyone. You ready to talk all things tentacles? Hi Dawn. Hello, yay! Oh, you look fab.
Thank you. I got dressed specially because I have no other excuse these days.
Oh, I'm the same. I've been out most of the day today and I had to actually put makeup on this morning, so that was a bit of a shock.
Isn't it? It feels so rare.
Yeah, it's like a rare occurrence not to be in pyjamas.
I don't own any structured clothing anymore.
No, I know. I'm like, what's a pair of jeans? I just like leggings now or pajamas.
Jeans are formal clothing now.
Standard. Well, thanks for joining us, Dawn. So if you don't know who Dawn is the brilliant author of The Dead House and The Creeper Man, and also Teeth in the Mist, which I've actually got on audiobook. So yeah, Dawn writes really creepy and sinister psychological horrors that always make me sleep with the light on and terrify me, but in a good way, Dawn, like not in a bad way.
I'm glad. I'm very happy.
Yeah, so honestly, check Dawn's books out because they're really creepy and really good. Yeah, so Dawn, is this your first time reading point horror, or did you read point horror when you were younger?
Yeah, I did. The ones I remember the best, The Babysitter,
Oh yes.
called The Pact. I was trying to go
Ooh.
through the point horrors and like
Yeah.
which ones I'd read. I was more into Goosebumps, but I definitely was a point horror girl as well. I wish I'd kind of read more of them though.
Yeah, I think I started off on Goosebumps and
Yeah,
then I was kind of like, oh, I need something different. And that was just when like point horror
yeah.
started coming out and it was just like perfect.
I had to
But
just I had to see whatever my school library had because that was the only access that I had on the different
yeah.
libraries. So yeah, whatever they had access to, I would then grab and pinch.
Oh, I love that. The babysitter is such a good one to like
Yeah,
start off with as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so good.
I'm trying to
Um,
other ones. There was
yeah. Oh, there's so many like that I remember from when I was younger.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, too many. We'll be here forever. Like if we go through Shelley's childhood.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of your collection. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, just behind me here. It's like covered with junk at the moment. Oh yeah, inside the cover said The Babysitter was the first one too. I think even though that wasn't the first one released over here in the UK, I think that was Trick or Treat.
Yeah,
It's amazing how most people's first point horror was The Babysitter. So I think
yeah,
it honed in on that urban legend and obviously the
yeah,
iconic cover. I
yeah. I
think so.
remember looking at the inside cover of the yearbook. I remember Twins. I remember that one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Oh, Teacher's Pet. I read Teacher's Pet.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one. Oh, I love me some RTC. Richard
Yeah,
Tankersley Cusick. Love it.
and the girl.
Um,
I read them.
yeah. Dustin's put his first one was April Fools by Richie
Yeah,
Tankersley Cusick.
I
Such a
tended
good
to read
one.
his. I think mostly.
Yeah, no, I did as well. I was a huge fan. Um, so should we jump into the chat because this book was such a crazy ride.
Mental. I loved it.
I loved it. Yeah, spoiler, I loved it, but it was so hard to write notes on. I think
Yeah.
I was up till like 1 o'clock in the morning my time writing the notes for this because yeah. And I've got my cup of Pepsi.
I had me.
Um
Me too.
Essential items.
Surplus case.
I think we will survive. Definitely. But yeah, we'll start the chat then. So the chat will contain spoilers for the yearbook by Peter LERANGIS. We'll have some fun things along the way to say, but our love of point horror will shine through. So we just like to have a bit of a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, hi everyone joining in. If you've got any comments, honestly, put them up and I'll try and read them out. Join in the craziness with us because this one's going to be cray. So what I'll do, Dawn, I'll do like a little summary. I'll try and summarize this book, and then we'll jump into the chat. So the tagline on this one was "Most likely to die." Woohoo! And it was so different how different the covers were. So this is the UK edition, and the US edition had like a yearbook with a photo on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really different. A few people have put some pictures up of that one, and it's like a purple cover.
Might have been better.
And Eddie's video said to me earlier, I'm still trying to figure out who the person on his cover was. Because I said, do you not think this one like kind of gives things away just a little bit too much?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who's the artist?
I'm not sure, because so Anne Finnis, who was kind of like the publisher who brought these to the UK, they kind of had their own designer to either rebrand the covers, and they made this like point horror logo. So I presume, and I should know the name because I should know it, but it's gone. But I'll put it up later because if it needs recognising, because that's amazing, really.
So good. It's
so cool.
Effort that would have gone into this.
Yeah. So what's it all about? I'll try my best. So it all starts with a cheeky little prologue with our characters David and I can never say it. Ariana. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Ariana. I apologise if I'm saying that. I can never say it ever. Kind of change it every time, so you'll notice throughout the chat that it changes. So they're alone on top of the hill outside of the small ugly town of Weatherby, Massachusetts, and David shares that he has destroyed the whole town. Shock horror. I mean, some people say Weatherby looks old and drab, and the hottest hangout is an Arby's, with the second close being a Methodist church. But David has well and truly blown it up. But fear not, because David is writing everything down in his record book, just in case it happens again, so people know what to do. So it all started with an earthquake in the previous February. There's no fault lines under Weatherby, so how did they get an earthquake? That is the big question. And then people start to go missing. David finds out that there's a similar tremor that occurred in the 1950s, and people also started going missing there as well. And things get even stranger. This book is so hard to summarise. Things get even stranger. Dead bodies start appearing in the river and in the sewage pipes. Someone sabotages the yearbook with shrunken heads of a dead boy, and writing nasty, threatening poems in the potentially threatening poems in the yearbook. And not forgetting, there's a secret society that meets in the basement of the school in secret passageways behind awesome moving bookcases, which I want in my house.
Me too.
Not what's in the secret passageway, but just the bookcase. So what follows is just think along the lines of fertile soil, lots of Greek god references, and a monster made of calcium. And lots of tentacles. So we need to make sure that we are stocked up on the Pepsi because we're going on a hell of a ride.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, yes. I will have a little drink, actually. So this point horror was different in the fact that we get a male narrator,
Yeah.
which is really, really rare for a point horror. In fact, I can't think of any other point horrors. Maybe, no, I was going to say The Girlfriend, but I don't think it is. I think
I
it's got a male. Might be wrong, but I think might be the only point horror with a male
yeah,
perspective.
think he,
um, so yeah, so David then. So what did you think of David Dawn? What were your thoughts?
I had so many thoughts on David. So I'm going to look at my notes, okay?
Yes.
So I think he grew on me as he progressed, but initially I thought he was a little bit gross.
Yeah.
Just because of how he objectifies Ariana, but then I'm like, that's probably just typical of a boy. However, I felt like he read as a 13-year-old boy, not a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. He
You
did
know,
seem
I
to read a bit younger.
art and stuff, and
Yeah.
when he was like, "Oh, the Earth farts" or something. The other thing, he gives like specific numbers about things. He's like, "I'm 5'11", blah blah blah, and then he's like, "I'm a genius," but then he doesn't give his IQ score. I was like, this is like suspicious.
He needs to prove it.
Yeah, oh, I'm a genius line, but then he doesn't seem like it. It's the clever one mostly.
Yeah, for sure.
Wicked sense of humor though. I loved his sense of humor. That was so good. That's what.
Yeah,
What did you
yeah.
think?
I kind of liked him, and I kind of read him as, because I know David can be. I've seen people love him or hate him or like really hate him, and I kind of liked him because he was just so in love with Ariana. Look, I can't say it. Say that name.
Grande.
Yeah, I know, but I can never say her name. So bad. Yeah, so he was so in love with her that it was almost like you could really feel how he was in love with her and he just wasn't getting anything back, and you could feel his
Oh, bless.
frustration.
Yeah.
Bless him. And like, so I kind of felt sorry for him a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was. I think he did read a bit younger, like you
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
for definite. Um,
If that was a bit charming though, because he then came across as slightly innocent. I don't know, and also that sort of changed throughout the book. So it was a cool character arc thing.
yeah, he did. He did kind of grow.
In
He,
con-
he he almost said, I'm sure he says at some point when he finds the dead body. So he finds this dead body in the first dead body in the lake or the river, and he kind of says it changes him, and I
yeah,
do feel that it does change him,
yeah,
in some kind of way. He was, yeah, he seemed to change on the page.
yeah. What was it? What did he say about that? He said something like that he'd been infected by fear.
Yeah, I'm sure I wrote that down somewhere.
But trying to
I'll
find.
find it. I'll find it in a minute. But he did have a good sense of humour though, because I
Yeah.
mean, the one line that got me was when he's like, "For the first time in my life, I wish I had a vice like drinking or smoking
Yes.
or writing terrible poetry, but I don't. So I consoled myself with elaborate murder schemes."
I thought that was great. For anyone who wants to find that, that's on page 33.
When I read that line, I actually the first person I thought of was Cynthia Murphy,
Yeah.
and I sent her it, and I was like, "Is this you?" Oh yeah, she was
Comfort my
laughing,
in
but
love.
um,
Oh man.
B for book, Lisa. She thought, I know 35-year-olds who still speak like that. So, like how you were saying, David, like speaks quite young.
Oh,
And Dustin said, I think David was a loner without a good male influence in his life, which didn't help his maturity level. Yeah, I agree with that. I,
and all
I really do.
the men that were around him, like
Mm,
and Mr. Devart, they weren't exactly most mature, were they?
No, it didn't have very good male influences at all. Um, but yeah, we kind of had this like forbidden, not forbidden love, but this unreciprocated love.
Yeah.
Like I think he describes it as the only sparks that he had were DC and not AC because they
Yeah.
only went one way,
Mm, I love.
and things like that. But yeah, so as you were saying, I do think he changes throughout the book and his bravery does grow, although he does faint a lot.
Yeah,
he,
he is a painter, isn't he? Although I kind of feel like if you had a shocker finding a dead body, especially one the way, so the first dead body is Rick.
yeah, Rick.
In the book, were they friends or were they just classmates? I can't remember.
I think they were just classmates in the book,
Right,
him and Rick. I
but
think
the
it was
way
the second one he was meant to be friends with.
right, but the way the body looked, I think that would make anyone have a shock. Like maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, he was throwing a stone at it to start with. he,
Yeah,
th- he thought it was a rat, and it's like,
yeah, skulls
Hmm.
sticking out or something. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, it must. Yeah, yeah. So it was, but again, for a point horror, like
Yeah,
some of the graphicness of like the description of the body, and then like obviously, I mean, I think sex is mentioned on page 4, and like for a point horror, that is quite rare, and I like that. I like that it was like a bit ahead of its time
yeah.
in that respect.
I read an
Um,
author who said that he didn't have any kind of guidelines. Like he didn't have he just was told, do you want to write a point horror? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then he just wrote it. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, so I did a Q&A with Peter LeRangis a few years ago, and he kind of said like David he thinks ended up he was a bit like David when he was at high school.
Oh,
I find that really quite
that's really
interesting.
cute. Hang on, let me just
Yeah,
sorry.
that's all right.
Back.
And when I think he also said as well, like when he was asked, as you said, to write for Point Horror, he was just given this title, the Yearbook, and
Yeah.
like there's so many things you could have done with that title. So I wonder what made him think monster in
It kind of had
underneath the
Calls and
school.
vibes, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was cray cray.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh,
I loved all the ancient Greece, Delphi.
yeah, it was really, really different,
Yeah.
really different. Um, Emma's put David was a bit creepy, but then I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked that he seemed so real. Yeah, I agree with that. It felt quite authentic.
Yeah. I felt like
Um,
a real kid.
yeah, and Luna. Oh, sorry, I'm so bad with names tonight. I thought the dead body description was really gory, and I liked it. Yeah, I loved it. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, more gore, yeah,
It
more
was.
gore. um, so yeah, so basically, as you said, he describes himself as this genius. Um, but his genius skills are put to the test a bit later in the book,
Yeah.
kind of. Because this is really hard to describe, but eventually he ends up inside the belly of this beast that's underneath the
Um,
school in the basement. Is it the omphalus? I can't pronounce anything. I don't know how to
belly button.
say that. Do you know? I don't know. We know with the belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's scared for his life and he does faint a lot. And his hair even turns white or like salt and pepperish.
Mhm.
But he gets given a kind of mission by this monster, which they named Pytho or Slimy or
I,
Mr. Slimy or something.
I,
Yeah. So to find out who they are. So he does some research and he kind of finds out that the voices are these historic figures from the town of Wetherby. So you've got this Jonas Light who went missing in 1862.
yeah.
Um, Annabelle Spicer, who got burned at the stake as a witch in 1686, who I really want to know more about. I need some fan fiction.
She needs her own. She needs her own point horror.
Yeah. And then obviously there was Reggie Borden, who went missing in the 1950s, and it kind of works out like a pattern. So David works out that the monster is halving the years when it comes to life to feed. And it also has a bit of a passion for student numbers. So do you think that was like kind of clever, like a clever, he likes anagrams as well, doesn't he, this monster? So all those things, do you think it was kind of like a clever play on numbers and
Yeah,
letters and things?
I think
Not,
it is a play on intelligence and
yeah. Would you ever do anything like that in any of your books? Like try
oh,
and
I love things like this. I love
oh yeah, I do. I love little puzzles.
yeah. So even just in the Creeper Man, just the hidden messages in the diary entries, and also there are other authors who do it really well. Like I watched a chat recently where they were talking about prime numbers, like the number of the pages or the word count being a prime number, and such crazy clues. I love that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think I read a book a few years ago. It was by Marcus Sedgwick.
Yes,
And
I
you
was
get to I won't say what book it is so I don't spoil it for anyone, but you get to the end of the book and it kind of says, right, go back to the the chapters or the
read the
front of the
first.
book, and there's like and there's like a clue, and it's like a secret code.
Yeah, there's also something I think about the number of words in that book or the number of chapters or something.
Yeah, it was like it was very clever, and like it
Really.
was it like when I got to the end of that book, it blew my mind. But yeah, a
Oh,
book by Marcus Sedgwick.
yeah, he's great. He's fantastic.
So good, so good. Um, so do we think so? Talking about the villain, then, so Pytho, I'm
Yeah.
classing as the villain. So do you think is Pytho a villain or just misunderstood, Dawn? What do you think?
I think that he's just higher in the food chain. He's just,
Mm,
and I loved the fact that he was the Oracle of Delphi. Like, where did that come from? Love
that
that.
was
The
crazy.
song. You know what this whole book gave me? It vibes meets Buffy because it was like the Hellmouth meets like elements of it with the sewers and the drain pipes and the
Yeah,
white hair. So all of that, even just the villain at the end reminded me of like, was it a turtle or something in it that ends up like helping them?
yeah. I think. Oh, I can't remember
Yeah.
now, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I don't think it really is a villain. It's just because we're lower in the food chain and we we want to live humans.
We want to live. No, yeah, that's a good take on it, actually. Um,
If a shark was eating humans, you wouldn't be like, oh, it's a villain. And also, this is the thing about the cover. I spent the whole book waiting for these tentacles to appear, so it wasn't surprising to me. But the thing that was surprising to me was the calcium element. You know, they mentioned in passing the soil
mm,
on calcium, and I was like, that's interesting. Whatever. It's just how did he describe? I thought it was a play on the ice, the late ice or style of the town. But no, it ends up being this like vital piece of information. This creature
mm.
calcium of all things.
So, do we think it was using the calcium to like grow to
I think,
then get stronger? Do
yeah,
you
I think it
think?
was just its food source. Just
Yeah.
like calories, it needs a certain amount to sustain itself and a certain amount extra to grow.
Oh, it's like me with chocolate.
Yeah, and skin.
Cake, yeah. Um, everyone's saying Dustin, Lisa, Eddie, total Buffy and
Yeah,
total it vibes.
as soon as I
Um,
dude, I can see this book. And I want it to be a film now, and I want it to
yeah.
and Stephen King just directing it.
Well, I know Peter Lerangis is like a huge Stephen King fan, so it doesn't surprise me that it's got those vibes.
Oh,
Um, so Eddie's video said, so was the monster really a metaphor for like all atrocities done on marginalised people, perhaps. I don't know.
Also,
But
it feel like there was an element of social commentary because he did mention something earlier on to that effect. He was talking about communism at one point. Paper articles that were mentioning the communists, which, by the way, is such a product of its time because this came out, what, 6 years after the Cold War ended. Yeah. So yeah, I do think it is some kind of metaphor. I don't know if he put that much thought into it, but maybe he did, and I'm like, I have to think harder on it.
Yeah, well, I know I did make a note of something that Peter LeRangis did say during a Q&A that I did with him a few years ago. So we kind of asked him, like, was it important to include like things, racism and like really important topics, which back in the 90s people weren't really putting that much in
Yeah.
books in that way. So yeah, so he kind of said it was very important for him. And the best horror writing for adults always has a social subtext. And the basis of horror is confronting fear of the unknown, and for teens especially, the unknown involves things like sexuality and race. And YA books nowadays honestly discuss sexuality, but back then in the 90s when this was written, the topic isn't mentioned enough. So it's almost like you're a guest at a dinner party where you shouldn't really like talk about it. But he also said as well the plight of the Vietnamese refugees was a big issue in the early 90s. And US friends of his lived in a community in New England where people scribbled like racist threats on sidewalks in front of the houses where the Vietnamese immigrants had moved. So he wanted to kind of tackle that a little bit in this book.
And it does have that feeling compared to other point horrors where it feels more contemporary because there's more fiction, like Reggie. And who are the other POC characters? I think Reggie was...
So the Chief Hayes.
Yeah, the Chief, Pudgy.
Oh, Pudgy! I love him.
David's like finds out that he was bullied by called Pudgy and then proceeds to call him Pudgy for the rest of the book.
Oh, Pudgy. We all need a Pudgy in our lives. We all do.
Sarah. Also a POC, just by the name, I think he must be.
Yes. Yeah.
Reggie, I said that already. So I agree with you. I think because of that, it felt less dated, although it did still feel dated. But I think that's maybe why, because nowadays we're very open about tackling these things, and has included these things. And somebody actually commented just now. She gathered books, said, a really strange mix of commentary, communism, Underground Railroad, and absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like dripping with it, actually.
Yeah, it's like, I just think, it's so good. I just loved it. And Dustin's put the representation in this he loved. It was definitely surprising and welcomed.
Yeah, it felt refreshing. It felt more real, maybe more real.
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking about the calcium of that Pytho uses, and Lisa said Peter LeRangis does mention Stephen King in the book as well, which he does.
Yeah, I do remember reading a reference at some point.
So Books Bethany Reed has said cola is the secret weapon with a laughy face. So
that's such a like teenage thing, and be like, yeah, parents, it's fucking cola. That's why I need it. It's good. It's not bad for me. Hey.
I kind of love how like they figured that out. So
yes,
so they just tipped a can of Coke by accident to start with, didn't they? And then Ariana kind of
told a story earlier about
the tuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, in the Coke and how it rotted it away, and then obviously that the can of Coke gets knocked over or something while they're down.
Yeah.
Talking to the monster at some point, and they kind of click. And then they just go on this like rampage of gathering every single case and bottle of Coca-Cola and Pepsi and any brand, it doesn't matter. They just go and grab it and they basically empty it down into.
Yeah.
How did they empty it into
They
the
rigged
pit?
kind of explosive, didn't they?
Oh yeah, did they do like a rig? I think they
Yeah.
did, didn't they?
And they needed a janitor for that, I think, because he'd had experience with something or other. So I was racing through that part of the book so fast.
Yeah, I was exactly the same.
But
So
how,
do you think, sorry, go on.
my question, how did this creature get from Greece to the middle of nowhere?
Exactly. Now, my theory on this is there is a, it's like a really wacky theory, but um, there is a mention that David's mom's parents moved from Greece to Wetherby.
Oh, he's
Um,
with him.
yeah. So did that? But then I was thinking, well, no, the monster's been around longer than that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course, because it was an ancient. Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, they brought the monster with them. Twist.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah, but how did it get, and why did it choose Wetherby? Is it because of the soil, maybe? Was it always like fertile soil, I'm
Yeah.
guessing?
Didn't
Yeah.
the town as once being, a bustling farming place or something, and then it had
Yeah. Yeah.
when it settled, it was fertile.
Yeah. Yeah. Kirsty's put, wasn't David's mum Greek too? Yeah, she was. See, I've just got a theory. I've just like, I think I've solved it.
I'm from Greece because the kids have been going missing since what 16, whatever it was. So,
Yeah, yeah. So do we think like the the twist with the Pepsi and then obviously them blowing up with the gasoline, the monster, like do you think that's a good way to go for the monster? Or do you think it's a bit embarrassing being taken out by a bottle of Coke?
I mean, if you think about what Coke is, it really is just acid.
Mm,
I mean, if you pour Coke on an octopus or like a snail or something, was that salt? I mean, they dissolve. So I kind of loved it. I thought it was great.
yeah, yeah, I loved it.
Cool.
And now I want to see like other books do like something
Yeah.
similar and
Yeah,
use
because
that
of
same like device.
in the nukes, let's bring guns and stuff. They were like, no, no, it's cool. We're just gonna bring the Pepsi.
Get
Fantastic.
the get the Pepsi.
I An everyday object that people use all the time ends up being the answer.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good, so good. A future plot point there for you,
Yeah.
Dawn. Yeah, has to be. Eddie's videos put, I love how the cola explosion became like an atom's bomb at the end
Mm.
and ended killing almost everybody. So I think the writer was really trying to tell us something about Coke and Pepsi. Yeah, yeah. It's trying to put us off, isn't it? It's trying to look after our teeth and our health. Oh, what more can we ask for? Thanks, Peter Larangis. um, yeah, and She Gathered Book says about the mom as well. Yes, his mom related everything to Greek myths. Yes, because she called the dad when he was alive. So David's dad dies of heart attack, I think 7 years prior to the book.
Yeah.
But he references, sorry, that she calls him like Greek names,
Yeah.
like
Books.
depending on what mood he's
Yeah.
in and stuff.
I like
Yeah,
it has like a theme, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah,
I'm a
definitely.
myths anyway, so this just fed me completely. I'm obsessed with. I love the idea. It's like okay, so when the Delphic Society was formed by Mr. Devart, I was like, Delphic Society is a really weird name for what was it, a theatre club or something? I was
Oh, yes, is that a
like,
Greek reference?
Delphic club. And then at the end, you realize, they're essentially the equivalent of the oracles.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love anything to do with secret societies and things like that. I absolutely love. So I really wanted to know
Yeah.
more about that.
Especially hidden behind bookcases. Come on. in a
So cool.
hellmouth behind bookcases in a school's basement and Greek secret societies with weird mystical music.
Chanting, I think it was, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like,
I was like, oh, I love this. I love it.
oh, and I think there's a line that Chief Hayes says about, I think he asked David or something when he starts telling them about this basement that they've found and this secret society. He's like, do they sing? And David's like, I don't know. And he's like, the acoustics are brilliant down there. That line.
One line.
It's just like, and then obviously it turns out later on that when he was younger, so in the 50s, he actually went down there to try and find his friend, it's George, isn't it? I think. Yeah. And he goes down there to try and find him, and he hears this singing, and he gets like knocked out or something, and gets this calcium lump.
Yeah. Does he have just one, or did he have a couple? No, it was just one on him.
I think he had one, and it was on his leg, which is why he had a limp. And it was something to do when he went down there at that point to try and look for his friend when he heard the singing.
Yeah.
It was so great. But yeah.
Logistics of the lumps, though. Did you?
Say that again, sorry.
And the logistics of the lumps. They appeared very quickly. And was it the monster like leaking calcium out, or like what?
Yeah,
because they were calcium,
so
right? But that means he's like vomiting out his nutrition source into nutrition source. Does that make sense?
I tell you, by the time I got to the end of the book, as like you, I read it like quite quickly, and like I just I was a bit like, whoa, I don't know what's going on, but I kind of like it. And the calcium lumps confused me quite a lot because they I don't know how to explain it.
The monster consumes calcium, and these are calcium growths on the people. So essentially, is it vomiting out calcium onto its food source, or is it like giving them some kind of enzyme to grow calcium, like planting crops almost, for it to feed on later? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, whether these like lumps were some like like ready for because obviously with David and Ariana, we see them in the future eventually, don't we? So with quite a clever twist, but they're obviously meant to be covered in all of these like calcium lumps. And the monster, or the three people sitting in the tree, which are the three, I don't know what they were called now, but you know, the three people. They kind of are like, oh, you'll come back to us when the lumps get too painful. So it's kind of it was kind of random, but then I kind of took it that it was like, when the lumps get too painful, you'll want to die by the monster, so he'll absorb all of the calcium.
Yeah, that makes sense. So essentially they were just like fields for the monster to plant crops in.
Yeah. And it was like a curse put upon them, wasn't it? That, you know, they couldn't live a normal life because of these calcium lumps, because you defied the monster's wishes.
Yeah. So interesting. I loved it. You could pick at this for so long. Because also one of the voices whose anagram was George Durbin, but was actually Reggie Borden. He also had lumps on his face. And I remember I was like, wait a minute. These lumps, what's going on?
And isn't it weird how he was the only one? So there was three of them. So there was Jonas Light, the witch woman, and George Durbin. So he was the only one who could venture out and talk to people under this anagram. And he was the only one who had the lumps as well from the past.
They didn't.
Random.
Yeah. Vicious holes. Comments. People become calcium camels.
Oh, Karen, calcium camels. That's it. That's the word of the night. Oh, so someone's put who's put she gathered books said Mr. DeWart was such a dodgy teacher,
Yeah,
and then
very.
books Bethany Reeves put, oh guys, come to my house for a party. Okay, sir, that sounds fine and not weird in any way. That was weird, right? Mr.
It,
DeWart
I had to
was
keep
weird.
myself that he was 25, the teacher. I had to keep reminding myself that he's only, what, 4 years older than 21 when you're, you know?
Yeah, so he was like he was in charge of this yearbook, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he was doing like a PhD at night school or something,
Mhm.
or at some point. But it was a bit inappropriate.
Yeah, definitely. He gave me creepy vibes. And so when he was revealed to be a shit, basically, excuse my language, it made sense to me. And
Yeah.
let's not forget that David and Ariana's faces were covered in lumps for like the last 30 pages or so. So Ari goes into the store to buy Pepsi and no one said anything about her lump.
Oh.
Okay, no, I have something actually about this. So she has this idea about the Pepsi and then she literally says she doesn't want to explain it to them because she doesn't want them to laugh at her. I'm like, they've literally seen a tentacle demon underground and have like water for their faces for nothing, and she thinks that Pepsi will make them laugh. Oh man,
Oh
I love
God.
bit Pytho. I was like, go get her.
Yeah.
Like takes a chunk out of him.
Do you know, all I've got going around my head at the moment is what's that song by the Black Eyed Peas? And it goes, all them lumps, all them lumps.
I
I'll find it later, but it's obviously not in the context of calcium lumps, but that's all that's just
don't know.
going
Dude,
around my head
that's the
right now.
song for the real.
Justin's put maybe Pythos had calcium crumbs on its tentacles and it left it behind on the victims.
Yeah,
Ooh.
maybe it has some kind of enzyme that makes it grow really fast.
Yeah, yeah. And Dustin's put he had an English teacher that had parties for students at her house. It was weird. I just find that weird. Like, it's
Such.
not right. Oh dear. Um, so yeah, so obviously, do you think Mr. DeWart then? So he's like the reveal that he's the one. Hopefully, I've got this right. So in the end, he's been put under this trance by Pytho, with his dodgy Delphic secret society,
Yeah.
doing chants in these robes, and he's kind of put these poems in the yearbook.
That's it.
But do you think he remembered doing that? Because he offered to like pay for the yearbook, like a do-over of the yearbook, basically himself. He's like, I'll pay it for myself, like all myself if I need to get the yearbook looking without the dead heads and things like that.
I don't know, because at the end he seemed to know what he was doing. I feel like maybe that was just a cover to protect his innocence. By the way, I love what's going on in the chat. Someone, my lovely Kelsey.
Well, in the back and in the front. You're all going to be singing that now. I can't get it out of my head.
My lumps, my humps, my lovely. Because it sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud. It's so true.
Yeah, yeah. And I do have to apologise to Joshua, who's just joined and hearing us singing about lumps.
Lady.
Oh dear. Yeah, so do you think Mr. DeWart remembered doing that?
I don't know. I think it's either that he did and then he was just covering up for himself so he wouldn't get suspicious. Because at the end he was like very open about that he did all this stuff.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
I can't get it. Grams. Like he was Walter Ojeda, wasn't he? Ojeda, whatever.
Yeah, so what we find out then is because we get every now and again we get these like alternate chapters from a Mark, which we think are like dreams of David's dreams, but it turns out that they're flash forward. So it was like it was like lost ahead of its time with the flash forwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that in the future Mr. DeWart fosters Mark, who is David and Ariana's child. So was he trying to redeem himself for all the things that he caused, do you think? I mean, he didn't really do, did he really do that much apart from have wild, weird parties?
No, didn't he want to keep an eye on Mark so that when Mark eventually went, because didn't he like hand over the diary or something? God, I can't even remember now. Did he hand over, the bit that David had written up? Did he hand that over so that Mark would go looking? Was he still?
Or did he find some stuff in the attic or something?
Yeah, but it was like, I feel like his intention was to get Mark to go to the monster. Yeah, I don't know, but I liked the fact that David was having these like visions because it brings in the oracle side of the Delphi oracle, so he was seeing the future. I knew it was the future the second they faxed the color hollow. And it was year 2026, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think it was 2016.
Oh, 2000. Oh, 16.
So obviously 94, that would have seemed like so far away. And then like to us reading it now, it's like in the past. It's mind blowing.
I was like, God, this is his perception of the future. I was like, he thinks that we're going to be faxing holograms.
Which, in a kind of way, I mean, we FaceTime now, or we do like these Instagram live. So, did Peter LERANGIS kind of predict the future of technology?
It was just the fax thing for me. I was like, oh God, it's so cute. I love it.
Oh, I know. I really want one. I'm just really sad now. Really sad. Justin's put Mark is living in Marty McFly's 2016. It seems. Yeah. Eddie's video put Fergie's chart numbers will go up tomorrow. Maybe
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And Kirsty put the Mark twist blew her mind. It was a good twist. I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was quite clever.
I did think Ariana was settling though, just because she had a wart face.
What did you think of her? Did you like Ariana?
Yeah. There was one comment earlier on. I don't think it was about Ariana. I think it was about someone else, but correct me if I'm wrong. They said that this person had plastic surgery to look like a soap star. But it wasn't, was it? I made the page.
Oh, do you know, it does sound familiar.
Yeah.
It does sound familiar, like I have read that, but I didn't note that down.
Page 85. A girl gets plastic surgery to look like her favorite soap opera star. What the hell is this? That's what I wrote.
I love that you wrote that.
I made a note about page 83. I was like, David calls a girl dumb as a brick. What the fuck?
Oh dear. He was a little bit bad sometimes.
Misogyny in this book. Just a little bit, but it was kind of funny.
He spoke his mind a lot, didn't he? Yeah. Oh dear.
Quote, Dustin said Mark is living in Marty McFly's 2016 news. Hell yeah. A hollow fact.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Inside the covers put for a small short book, there's a hell of a lot going on.
Yeah.
And they thought it was all fab, but I know it was so hard to like just try and like pick points out of the book to talk about, because I found like to pick certain points you had to explain other points.
Yeah.
I was there forever, like going, oh my God.
Love a convoluted book. Give it to me. It is so good.
Oh dear.
I did find David like unintentionally funny. I'll just go over some of the comments I made because I just can't.
Yeah, go for it.
David is crying seeing his dad's graffiti, but in the next sentence he's like, his death was frustrating. What? It's frustrating. It's like slightly sociopathic. And then here he goes. Ariana hugs David and he goes, whoa, if I could bottle how that felt, I'd keep it with me and take a sip every day.
Oh, I kind of like that. That's kind of sweet.
And then here I said, At page 118, David, after one proper conversation with Ariana, quote, "We are one now, united with a knowledge that no one else shared."
That's creepy.
Oh, bless him. It was so cringy. I just loved it though. It was like he feels deeply.
Do you know what I loved as well? Like when they had their first kiss, so David and Ariana, when they had their first kiss, they just potentially found a second dead body
Yeah.
because they see the feet in the sewer pipe. They then go and have like a snog. He then blows it by saying, "Oh, guess what? I saw your boyfriend like put his arm around Monique." So we must be cheating on you. And I kind of like that Ariana kind of doesn't take any rubbish from him. She's like, that's not acceptable to say at this particular moment in time, and like kind of storms off.
Agreed. Yeah, I liked that she had a backbone. It was cool.
Yeah,
The way
she
after they kiss, he goes, "The warmth of her kiss bathed me."
I mean, he was deeply in love with her. So can you imagine, like, he must have been elated to have that kiss, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was
So related that he was like, "Okay, guess what? Now you can dump smut because I saw that name."
smart. Oh God, what a name! But I'll talk about Smut in a sec because he's got to have a mention. But after that kiss, after she storms off, David's like, "I know what I'm going to go and do. I'm going to go and jump in the hole and see if I can see
Yeah,
what the dead body is."
yeah, that's it. Is that the Jason part or is that later?
That's yeah, that was Jason, who apparently was it Jason? Let me check. I'm getting
At
confused.
one point, he does jump in to try and save this kid.
Oh no, that so John is the one. So Rick is the first one.
Yeah.
John Christopher is the one in the sewer pipe that they see the legs.
Oh yeah.
Who apparently David had known since second grade and could do this cherry stem trick, but we really didn't know much else about him, and they hardly shed any tears over him after either.
No.
And then the third one was Jason, who just seemed to be some like random person.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, hi, Jason. Cool. Nice to see you." What? Who?
Nice to see you. Oh, you're dead now.
Oops.
Tentacle got you.
Oh man. Book is
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So crazy. So as we've mentioned him, so Smut, I've got to give him a mention.
It's so funny.
He was
What was his real name? I don't even know.
So his real name was Stephen Matthew Underwood Taylor. I mean, you just why? That's such a long name. I don't get it. So they nicknamed him Smut.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like Ariana's boyfriend, and he was like this person who was like I had mixed feelings about because he liked like poetry and things like that, and he was on this Yale early admissions, but then like he was like into this football, and it said he doesn't sleep because he's like so busy. But what I really loved about him was that he had the lead in the musical Carousel. That's not an easy lead, is it?
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Involved with the Delphic Club, and obviously because they were hypnotized or something, and he had no idea. I really like that because normally the boyfriend who's just in the way, he's just part of the love triangle to be an obstacle. He was a bit more important than that.
I do kind of wish that he got killed by tentacles though. That would have been so cool. Why did we have to have Jason? Why couldn't we have Smut?
Yeah, that was so much better.
It would have made more sense.
I'll save him just so I can
David would be like, "Take him, I want Ariana."
Oops, I missed. Sorry. Dustin's golden boy that I would hate too. I side with David on that one.
He was like into everything, like everything, like There's nothing he couldn't do, but
Yeah.
yeah, they should have just killed him off, if I'm honest. More death, more death.
More gore.
Yeah, more gore, more death. Eddie's video, but now he's put this book should have been called. Now, before I say it, this is all I kept thinking when I was reading the book was, ooh, David, David. So I'm gonna have to try and do some type of reel of that, because there's like an audio file that you can get just to do with this book. So I'll see if I can do it. But that's all I kept thinking.
I would like he just came out with the best things. Like what was it? A page 149. He says a legend out of mystical earth farts, and then refers to the offer, whatever it was called, offer molos. What was that freaking name?
I can't pronounce it. So
the omphalos.
Sounds like Oompa Loompa or something.
The belly button, the lint catcher of the world. And maybe Chuck, I love that.
Oh God, I really want to know, like, if Peter LeRangis was like on, I don't know, on another planet. It's good, don't get me wrong, but like crazy. Was there any other characters that you that we haven't mentioned that you kind of enjoyed or liked? I think we talked.
I really like Chief Hayes, but I was a bit confused.
Oh, I love
it. Why, number one, David is like, I can take you to the dead body. Who says that to a police officer? Suspicious as fuck. Like, yes, I know where the body is. Not like
I know where the bodies are kept. And
then Chief is like confiding in him about. David's like, I didn't do it, and the police officer's like, I know. How? How do you know that? And then Pudgy's like telling him all these details about like the murders. I'm like, what town is this? I'm just gonna confide in this 17-year-old.
I kind of like, though, that for a change as well, in A Point Horror, the police actually believe the main character, because they never believe them. They're always like, oh, go away, nothing's happening.
Yeah, I think probably because of the lump on his ankle. You know, we later find out why he believes it, because I think he suspects.
Oh no, I've got that song in my head now. My lumps, my lovely lady lumps.
My
Dustin's put Rachel Green. So yeah, so Rachel Green was like kind of a side character, not to be confused with Friends.
I was like,
I mean, Friends must have been around. It was around, wasn't it, when this book was written? 94,
93.
Yeah, so it must have been. So was that coincidence, or was that a little
odd
Easter egg? But yeah, she even had like these huge dark eyes that could be vulnerable, and I liked the nice twist of thinking that it was her in that sewer pipe.
Yeah.
Because obviously David finds the ring. Is it the ring with Jace, with her name on it, but she'd given that to not Jason, to John. Oh
yeah, because like he sees Rachel in school and he's like, oh phew, everything's okay, and then oh wait, her boyfriend's missing, and like my stomach dropped a little bit at that point. I was like, god damn, that's sad.
Yeah Karen's put, they were on a break. So just
started in 94.
94. Okay, thanks, Dustin.
Yeah.
So maybe that was like a nice little happy coincidence there, and obviously, reading in the future, I kind of took it as like a nice little Easter egg. But
author's an oracle.
I know. I'm scared of Peter LeRangis. You know, he
we need to check the
quite a lot
of the soil in his hometown just to make
sure. We need to stock up on Pepsi and cola and all sorts.
Does he
just in case
anywhere, this author?
I'm not going to ask him that.
Can you tell me about any weird lumps you have on your body? Just curious.
I did see a weird post, actually. This, full disclosure, this hasn't come from Peter LeRangis. I just saw some random thing on the internet that said, Peter Lerangis took a pot shot at R.L. Stein in this book with Mr. DeWart, because surely Mr. DeWart is
Yes!
R.L. Stein.
Yeah. Do you think it's true?
I don't know. I don't think he'd do that. He's too nice. Peter Lerangis seems too nice.
Yeah.
He's sweet. I think it was just someone putting two and two together, but it just did make me laugh.
Yeah, but also is it Mr. DeWart or Mr. DeVart? Well, whatever it is, he's right.
He's what?
Coincidental.
Yeah, it's got to be. But it did make me laugh when I saw it.
So funny. You never know with authors when you find things and you're like, is this like a jab? Is this a jab at
Oh, it must be quite fun in a kind of way as an author. Like, if you could put something in like that and get away with it and like no one ever knows.
I've done it.
Have you?
A side character or like a passing character, I think it was in The Dead House, I named after a childhood bully.
Oh, yes, Dawn. I love that.
As like, she was
payback.
a really nasty piece of work.
Yeah. No, I love that, Dawn. Yes, go Dawn.
Admit that. Delete after.
I don't think I can delete a tiny bit, but
I'm joking.
It'll be fine. No one will watch.
Very cool.
Oh, I do love that though. But another character I just want to really quickly mention, just before we kind of wrap up and get to the end, was Edna. I can't say her surname. Edna Clatch. Clatch.
Drawing a blank.
So she was the hot date librarian. No, she was this elderly librarian. But at some point, David goes, I'm going off on a hot date. Yeah. And I actually wrote in my book, oh, David, hot date. And then it was like this librarian.
Right. I remember when he goes to photocopy or to get the information about the previous thing. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So what I loved about her that I just have to mention is she had this awesome locked away area in the library of all these rare books.
Yeah. I want that.
She was so proud. She was so proud of this collection. She used to let David use it and like have free photocopies. And she loved her little pink anorak as well, like pink and turquoise. It was an LL Bean anorak. I made a note, but I meant to look it up what that was, but I forgot. So if anyone knows, tell me. But it was mentioned as an LL Bean anorak. I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, so I just loved that. I just thought, I just want my own library.
Yeah.
Locked away. And as Kirsty just said, a female Giles from Buffy, definitely.
I love, they had all these elements that were fantastic. Secret society, basement crack in the earth, sort of creature out of who knows what, secret librarian, cops that listen, it vibes, sewage pipes. It had all these cool things. Okay, so I've looked up the anorak. It's just literally a waterproof anorak.
So it wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
I made this huge note about this LL Bean anorak.
Well, it's a brand. It's like really boring.
Oh dear.
Reggie said at the end of the book that Ariana is smarter than David and he's insulted. It made me laugh so hard. Page 195. Reggie says, oh yeah, she's smarter than you. And he's like pissed off about it.
That's what I mean. Like, he had his faults.
Bless.
He had his faults. And he just, but he was funny.
Yeah.
It's definitely funny. And I have to shout out as well Mr. Brophy, who owned the best shop name ever that I actually want to visit, which was he owned a printing shop, so his shop was someday my prince will come.
I loved that. That was so good.
I loved it. Yeah, definitely.
David was gonna put it banana.
Oh, so Dustin's put LL Bean is a clothing brand in the US. And then didn't know what it was, but now I know.
Dustin says David prided himself on being an idiot savant.
See,
Yeah.
I think we've I hope we've convinced people on David that he is actually worth just not taking too serious.
Yeah,
and just enjoying him.
Yeah, he just feels like a real, like getting an insight into a real kid's mind. He did still read as much younger to me than 17, but
yeah,
that's actually how 17-year-old boys think. I'd have never been a 17-year-old boy, but he just cracked like fart jokes and things, and I was giggling the whole time. It just brought out my like 12-year-old self. I was just giggling the whole book. I loved it.
Oh, so overall then, Dawn, so you were a fan of this book. This was a good pick.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really glad we did this one.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. Like I remember reading this one before, and I did think you would like it because I know you're really into like your creepiness and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, I'm sure Dawn will like this one. So I'm so glad that you did.
Thank you for picking.
Yay! Thank you everyone for voting for it.
I need to US cover. Okay, I've not seen it.
Yeah, so if you check out like Dustin's feed or Eddie's videos feed, they've put like a picture up with the US cover, and it's pretty cool. But you'll think the same as Eddie's video. He put, I don't know who the girl was on the front. It has no relevance.
Sorry. Are we asking who the actual model is? Who was in the actual?
No, like who the character is meant to be.
Is it meant to be Ariana? Or is it meant to be, because the reason Ariana was going to be next is because somebody moved away, a girl moved away, and so then the one that moved away, and she's the reason that Ariana was going to be chosen.
Yeah, so maybe it is her. Yeah.
Luna May says, I thought for sure it was setting up for a sequel. Me too. I want that sequel.
Yeah, I still want that sequel. Yeah, and Peter LERANGIS still writes now.
Yeah.
So I think we should all petition for a sequel to the Yearbook.
Yes, because I want to know if them sitting there hugging worked. I want to know.
Yeah.
Them on.
all hugging and like not letting go of each other.
And so we have a lot more Pepsi and Cola in the world.
Yeah, so Eddie's video said the picture on the US one looks like it's from the 60s because the hairstyle is the 60s.
Maybe it's a student that went missing in the 50s along with Reggie Borden.
Yeah, because Dustin said maybe it was Pudgy's Yearbook.
Yeah.
And Peter LERANGIS as well, also at the time of writing this book, used to ghostwrite for the Babysitters Club.
No, didn't.
Can you imagine if you got the stories muddled up?
Can you? I used to love the Babysitters Club. That was fun.
Oh, I'm a new fan of the Babysitters Club because Justin got me into it. But can you imagine if you like sent the wrong script to like?
Can you imagine they bound the Babysitters Club with this cover?
Like Christy and the gang like trying to defeat this tentacle monster.
Now we just need a Babysitters Club chat from you.
Yes, we'll have to do one, definitely. I'll have to try and find one that Peter LERANGIS maybe ghost wrote, yeah. Just to see like if I can tell that it's his kind of writing, because he's got kind of like a distinctive writing style, I think. But
and he's done other things as well outside of like IP work, intellect. Someone says here, there's one of those rhymes on the back of the book. It's a girl's name, so it could be her.
Oh.
No.
Oh, yeah.
One of the girls who went missing in David's year.
Oh, yes. The poem on the back is about Laura Chase. So pity, Laura Chase, pretty hair and pretty face. Isn't it a sorry fate she won't live to graduate? That was one of the better poems.
One of them was really funny. What was it? It was like,
was it the Ed one?
Yeah.
So Ed Lynon hates rhyming. See you, Ed, dead.
I'm gonna put that on my wall because it makes me giggle so much.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
did.
Yeah. I wonder like how long it took him to come up with those poems.
It's genius. There is some kind of genius in this book, you know. It's
No, I agree. And I definitely think like because we only got 2 point horrors from Peter LERANGIS. He might have wrote some more under the Point brand, but I'm not 100% sure. But the other one was Driver's Dead, and like
yeah, we read that one.
and again in that one he uses he discusses racism in that, and there's like a supernatural kind of vibe to it as well. So it honestly it was.
If you
I
do that
just
one,
think.
have you done that one already? No.
No, I did it years ago before, but I will do it again. So I'll let you know.
Let me do it with you because I really want to compare.
But I just think it's such a travesty we didn't get more from him because compared to other point horrors, he was definitely different and he stood out. And I do think teen Shelley wouldn't have liked this book because I think I was all about the stalking and the like crazy best friends and things when I was younger. But like older me who now loves Stranger Things and stuff like that, which this definitely had vibes of, and obviously Stephen King. Yeah, I think it really did appeal to me as an adult. As I say, teen me would have been like, what's this? There's no like stalking in this.
Yeah. I would have been the same, but only because it was narrated by a boy, and I was like, boy.
Boys, ugh.
Also, I was like massively gay as a teen. So
oh God!
As an adult, I love this. I thought it was really clever. I wonder if I ask him to write more.
Yeah, he needs to write more.
Maybe do an interview on here as like a bonus episode, and maybe we can ask him questions.
Well, he to be fair on Peter, he did like a really nice message for us. Just say thank you for picking the book and that, and it's so sweet because I got in touch with him because, as I say, years ago I did like a written Q&A with him, and he was going to do like a Q&A like this.
Yeah.
But he's that worried that he'll let me down or let us down because obviously it was so long ago, and he's worried that he won't remember things that we would ask and stuff like that. So he kind of just said, oh, maybe I'll do it in the future, but I'm just worried I don't want to let anyone down, like with my bad memory. Oh, so sweet. Bless him.
I think that it's a brilliant book. If you're watching Peter, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. We love it, Peter. Oh dear. But Dawn, thank you. Thanks for being such a brilliant guest. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I love such a good
thank you for joining us, and come back again soon and be our guest again.
I will.
It's been really good.
This was much fun. I'm gonna go find that lovely Lump song now, and I'm gonna be
I'm gonna have to I think I might have to use that as I normally do, like a reel at the end of the month with like pictures that people have sent me and things. I think I'm gonna use that song.
You guys, send your yearbook photos or your school photos to Shelley, because that would be such a funny reel, like a real.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do that.
I sent my really bad distorted high school photo through already.
Oh dear, we had such fun. Like initially at the start of the month when we created the pictures that we were doing for the graphic, and then obviously you've sent me through a cute little Dawn photo to use. Oh, you're so cute.
I'm so innocent. It's so deceiving. Oh, dude, it's so cute. I love school.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and have a play around with that, see if I can do it. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who joined in and all your brilliant comments. And I'm sorry if I've got that song in your head and you're gonna be singing it all night.
Yeah,
I do apologise. That wasn't planned. It just literally popped in my head every time we was talking about it. But yeah, thank you, Dawn, and thanks, guys. And we'll be back next month I think I put the vote up on the 1st. I think
Excellent.
that's Tuesday, isn't it? And it'll be like a little Valentine's special to pick from between the two. So yeah, so thank you, Dawn. Have a good evening, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.